Resources, inspiring interviews, business practices, and practical advice to take your art career to the next level. Join Sergio Gomez in today's Artist Next Level and get ready to take control of your career.
Well, hello, my next level friend. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Artist Next Level podcast. This is a special edition episode in which I am interviewing artists from around the world as they are stuck at home during the coronavirus lockdown. Today, I have the pleasure to have here with me through video, Kobi Walsh. He's based in Brooklyn. He's joining us and giving us also an update how things going over there and letting us know how he's adapting as an artist, when you can walk into your studio and make the art. Kobi, good to see you, my friend. How are you?
Great to see you. I'm doing great out here. Beautiful sunny day. How are you doing?
I'm doing good as well. Today's kind of it was like that yesterday. Today is kind of a little bit on the dark side, but it comes and goes. So you just never know. It's that time of the year.
Mm-hmm. Springtime.
I know. So we kind of missed each other, and I was there in New York for the Armory show. You were around there too, but we got back to Chicago, and that's when it all kind of went down. And after that, we all know what happened. We all been in lockdown. Life's totally changed from one week to the next. I mean, we had planned that trip like months in advance, and we went. And then, the Armory show, we were just talking about that. It was like the last thing that happened, and then boom, everything closed down. So. Kind of crazy how this whole thing has happened. So tell me a little bit about, for you, how things going in New York. I know I've been watching the news and so on and friends that I have there, but, tell us a little bit about, how maybe even other artists that, are coping with it.
Yeah, things are getting pretty crazy in New York the last couple of weeks. I'd actually decided a couple of weeks ago to kind of get out of the city just because New York, you're not going to have a bunch of space and who knows how long this is going to last. So we're just kind of like, where can I be the most productive? Where can I have the most space and energy to create my own art and to be productive? So it's like being cooped up with multiple roommates in Brooklyn, not necessarily being able to go outside as much. It's like, doesn't necessarily benefit as much to me. So I was like, we're fortunate enough to be able to come upstate with my girlfriend. So it's been great. We've been able to get outside, get some sunshine, go on hikes, be out in nature. And I found that that's really been really instrumental actually to just kind of keeping spirits high and getting outside and being able to peripherally help the creative process.
Yeah, and go ahead.
Yeah, but I was just gonna mention, in Brooklyn, a lot of my friends that are there, a lot of the artists that I know that are there, they're kind of just holed up and figuring out the best way to be productive in their studio space and keep spirits high, and still have the best creative process through these situations as well.
Right, and we are kind of all in this together, trying to adapt and figure out, what things we can do, what things we cannot do. So in your case, as an artist, because you're not in your typical studio where you would normally do your work. So what were you able to take with you, and what are you able to actually do as an artist where you're at?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I kind of took the essentials for me. So I'm an artist, I'm a photographer. Had to bring the camera, of course, bring the tripod, bring some of the other essential materials. I've been experimenting a lot with different types of materials, like types of PVCs and fabrics and metals and such. So I was able to actually just roll those up and bring them with me. Unfortunately, I couldn't bring my printer, which is a bummer, but so I've kind of adapting and figuring out kind of, for me, it's been how to use these materials in the space and still creating the flow of the creative process. Mm-hmm. So luckily I was able to bring a fair amount of my materials, and so I can replicate and even have more space in some ways to do art up here. So that's been great.
And I think, as you mentioned too, just the ability to be able to walk outside and get the sunshine, it just kind of changes or revives your spirit and your energy a little bit when, particularly when all of us who are in the northern part of the United States, we experience a very cold winter. And right now, getting out of winter, we all look forward to, the sunshine and some warm weather.
Exactly. It's a great timing. Everyone's like, if this was in winter, people would be much better to just stay inside, whatever. But start getting great weather and people are just going to
itching to get
have
out.
that urge to go outside,
Yeah, absolutely. So I know also you had planned you said all the artists had things planned already for the year. You were going to participate in the other art fair as well in Chicago and LA. Were you going to go? Which one?
Chicago and Brooklyn, actually.
Oh, in Brooklyn. Okay. So all those now have been postponed, rescheduled, and a lot of things are up in the air on those things. So tell me a little bit about, also that transition, right, of adjusting what you had planned to, what's going on right now.
Yeah, so I think that's kind of been one of the most difficult parts, just in terms of figuring out those next steps, because, all of a sudden when all of this hit, it was just maybe about a month and a half ago that we were having our exhibitor meeting with the other art fair, and they were telling us all the great things that are happening. And I've been preparing for the show for months, and I've had everything set and had all the sketches and whatnot. So it's definitely been unfortunate. I mean, everyone's kind of in the same boat, so you can only do so much. But luckily I just had a show beginning of March in Italy, outside of Rome. So luckily that was right before everything happened in Italy. So they actually canceled the vernissage, but they ended up continuing with the exhibition anyways. So that went through, and I was supposed to have an exhibition in France in mid-April, which has also been canceled now. And the other art fair, which would be the end of April as well, that's been pushed back. So that's going to be in November. And then the Chicago show is pushed to September now. And then I'll be participating in Superfine, actually, the art fair in August too, now in Seattle. So we'll see what happens. We don't really know what's going to happen at this point. For me, it's kind of just been, it sucks, but everyone's in the same boat. How do we adapt? How do we move forward? How do we make the best of the situation anyways? So it's not like it's any one person that it's affecting. It's everybody. So everyone has to learn the best way to adapt and move forward. So for me, it's kind of just been figuring out the best way to shift my own focus in terms of, okay, I've had everything prepared for this. How can I take what I already have, adapt it into something, maybe create what I've been looking into is virtual exhibitions, showing kind of the way that I had everything modeled and whatnot. So taking what you already have and adapting it for this situation, maybe shifting focus to do what you can, even in these unfortunate circumstances.
Yeah, totally. And maybe let's talk a little bit. Yeah, maybe let's talk a little bit about some of those ideas of, some of the things that you may be doing online now and promotion and with your work, and looking at virtual spaces to, keep producing work and keep sharing it with the work. 'Cause that's the good thing, that, even though we may not be able to congregate and to, have group events, but at least we are still able to share our work through social media platforms, through the web, and that kind of has opened up a lot of opportunities for artists as well. And I see that, I think you're also participating with the artist support initiative too, right? Which has been also something that a lot of artists are doing. So maybe, what are some of the ideas that you've been playing with?
Yeah, definitely. So for me, it's kind of just been about shifting the focus from because you get however much exposure you're going to get from in-person exhibitions and whatnot. So basically everyone is just shifting everything online. Right. So you take what you can, and whether I'm pushing it on Instagram or on Facebook or other platforms. Now, luckily, actually through the other art fair, they've started this great initiative where they're putting the fairs online now. So through Sacha, they'll be doing the Chicago fair and they'll be doing the Brooklyn fair. So I'm privileged enough to be participating in both of those, which will be coming out actually in about a week or so. So that will be another great platform for me. And then, it's been interesting to see just how the art world especially adapts to this sort of circumstances, because things like I am participating in the artist support pledge as well, which is great, which is basically you sell work up to $200, and then upon $1,000 you buy another artist's work for $200. So it's like supporting other artists, and the cycle continues. So it's really been brilliant to see the kind of way that the creative community has been able to support itself and support other people, because of course we're not getting necessarily as much support from, say, the government or other bigger institutions. So we're kind of just in a place where we have to look out for each other and make sure everyone's doing all right, and figuring out the best new way to shift online. Yeah.
And this is one of the times which I've seen a lot of also artists connecting with their, like, creating groups or collaborations. I've seen like musicians working with artists, or artists working with poets, and it also has opened up a lot of opportunities to you see somebody online, all of a sudden you resonate with that person's message or ideas, and then you reach out to that person and, hey, let's do something. And then they both decide to go live on Wednesday night, and they tell their friends. And so, that becomes something bigger and greater. And I love to see that. Almost like every time I go to my Instagram, somebody's live.
Yep.
And we didn't see that before, right? And it's opening up also a lot of opportunities for people to connect and to provide an alternative to the everyday feed of news that comes in all social medias. But I think artists rising up to the challenge and sharing what we do as artists as well. I think that's a fabulous thing. How do you think, in your own work as an artist, what we're going through, maybe filtered or maybe impacted what you are doing in terms of your subject matter?
Mm-hmm. So for me, my art has always been kind of centralizing around the idea of light and time and our subjective perspective, and more of a feeling of the art. So it's interesting to me. One of the big themes that I've been noticing, especially that I want to play off of a little bit, is this sort of adaptability that I was mentioning. Is that one of the most interesting things to me is just how life just progresses. Like we get hit with terrible circumstances, and artists and everyone is just, you adapt to it. It's like the next day life goes on. It's not like everything shuts down. It's like, no, we adapt. We figure out the best way to survive, to thrive, figure out the next level. So for me, I've been toying with this idea of adaptability and the malleability of our own experience. Like how can we shift in our own time, when something happens. Because for me, a lot of my work has also been built around the idea that our experiences shape our perspective and our own reality. And that we're all kind of living in our own separate realities, but now we have sort of a collective experience that impacts all of our realities.
Exactly.
So how do we adapt, and how do we change, and how do we make the best out of the situation?
Yeah. Well, it seems like, that idea is perfectly fit for what, as you say, what we're all going through right now. So I look forward to see how that evolves in your work, how that also manifests in a visual form on your art, which will be really interesting. Well, Kobi, you've been so awesome today, sharing these ideas. I know your message resonates with a lot of artists watching right now, because everybody's schedule just got screwed up for the year, and we're all trying to figure out what to do and how to work our best, the best way we can. And, it's this sort of common message right now. So, Kobi, how can our friends find you on social media, website, and so on, if they want to see your work as well and connect with you?
Definitely. So you can find me on Instagram at Kobi Walsh, KobiWalsh. You can find me on my website, KobiWalsh.com. You just search Kobi Walsh on Google, you're going to get it. So you get the KOBI is a bit a rare name. So less on the SEO side of things.
Super, man. Awesome. Very excited. Well, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your time. Again, for sharing your story. We appreciate it. And I want to say also thanks to all the friends watching right now. Please share this episode with your friends. Connect with Kobi. Connect with me through social media. Let us know how you like this episode, as well as please share it with others. And we hope you have an awesome day. Stay inside, be safe, and we'll see you in the next episode. Have a great day. Bye, Kobi. Goodbye.
Check out our website at www.theartistnextlevel.com, where you will find our podcast library, learn about our upcoming webinars, find resources relevant to your career, and much more. Thanks for listening to today's podcast, and we'll see you at the next level.